faster than the yellow marked soft tyres. And the other thing, Crofty, is it gives you a few metres off the start, the stickier tyres, and that's critical here, isn't it? Getting down, it's quite a short run down to the first corner, so a set of stickier tyres will definitely gain you 3 or 4 metres or half a grid slot. You can't afford to give that away, otherwise you'll be losing position.
It's 285 metres down to turn 1. Is that enough time, I wonder, for Sebastian Vettel to mount a challenge to try and get past Maldonado on the right-hand side of the grid, where they say it's worth an advantage if you can be on that right-hand side, the odd-numbered side?
Well, you get a faster sweep into turn 1, so it's not only getting there well, it's going through turn 1, and it's quite tight in 2, but you can stay around the outside of turn 3, and that gives you track position for 5. So I think being on the right-hand side of the grid is not necessarily that much grippier, just a better line through the first few corners. And
a real bottleneck trying to get off the grid, it seems. Here are the tyres available for this event. The intermediate and the wets, shouldn't need those. Forecast is for a dry race. Super soft with the red trim, soft with the yellow trim. And as you can see, only Nico Hülkenberg in the top 12 starting on the soft tyre, and then a few have gone for strategic option, shall we say, in the bottom 12, hopefully trying to make a two-stop strategy work. That is the quicker strategy. You don't lose that extra 28 seconds from another pit stop, but if the tyres are starting to go off, and they might be in the last 10 laps, you will be losing big lap time.
Yeah, you'll lose your easy meat to be overtaken. You'll lose seconds per lap, and then there's a great chance of throwing it in the wall as well once those tyres get beyond their reasonable life. And I think the drivers are going to have to be so careful in the early laps, not especially when they're side by side and getting a bit eager. Spin them up and you'll damage them beyond repair.
And there, the Drivers' Championship, 37-point lead for Fernando Alonso. We are getting to the stage now where that Drivers' Championship has to be the focus of the top 6. They have to be thinking about it during the race, and I rather get the feeling Alonso's been doing that for the last 13 races.
Yeah, just 3 pairs of long hauls to go after this, and this is a pivotal weekend in the World Championship.
For Jenson Button, the task is simple: to help himself to as many points as he can, to help McLaren close down the gap on Red Bull at the top of the Constructors' Championship, and to stop the questions that he's been receiving for the last couple of races as to when he's going to be driving for his teammates, and his teammates' title chances, not just for himself. McLaren, traditionally a team that favour both drivers, not the one. It's mathematically impossible, then it's all for Lewis. Until then, it'll be for Lewis and for Jenson, as we look down now and see the pole sitter, Lewis Hamilton, and Pastor Maldonado alongside him on the front row, stopping on the top of the grid. 3 out of the last 4 Singapore Grand Prix, 1 from pole. The last 2 have been led from start to finish by the pole sitter. He'll know that, Martin, and that will just ramp up the pressure a bit as well.
Yep, Charlie Whiting there, the man with thousands of horsepower underneath his thumb, and then the start procedure's automatic. I always think it's worth having a look and seeing how long it took for the GP2 race. Apparently it's not always identical, but it does give you an idea of how quickly those random red lights will go out.
And in the GP2 race today, the guy who was on the 5th spot on the grid got an absolute flying start as well, and I'm sure Fernando Alonso was watching that at the Ferrari hospitality unit as the medical car sweeps round, and all 24 are in place now, and the lights go on. It's the 5 red lights we're looking for. It's lights out and away we go in Singapore. Hamilton and Maldonado. Decent start from Hamilton. Already Sebastian Vettel covers Jenson Button. Decent start from Paul di Resta ahead of Fernando Alonso. Maldonado's lost out to Hamilton going through turn 2. And there's Nico Rosberg for the 2nd year running, going to the escape road through the first couple of corners. He was followed this time by a couple of cars as well, as Hamilton now from Sebastian Vettel and Jenson Button, and Maldonado's going backwards. But Fernando Alonso's got ahead of Paul di Resta as they head on to Raffles Boulevard.
Yeah, it's not Alonso's best ever start. Maldonado outbraked himself in turn 2, and that let Vettel through very nicely indeed, as we see the Mercedes side by side as well. And at the moment is Rosberg on the inside, and that will now become Schumacher on the inside for the next turn 8. Schumacher's got to be careful of his nose though, up against Romain Grosjean. Side by side action, no contact.
And almost contact between Grosjean and Webber as well. Grosjean having to be forced wide by the Red Bull driver, but for Sebastian Vettel, absolute perfect start for him. We're on board now with Nico Hülkenberg locking up and brakes ahead of him from Schumacher, just behind Romain Grosjean as through the Singapore sling. The chicane at turn 10 they go now. Up ahead it's Hamilton, Vettel, Button, Maldonado, Alonso and Di Resta. The top 6 over the Anderson Bridge now, with Hulkenberg might have chance to get Rosberg on the Esplanade Bridge as they now file through there towards turn 14 at about 140 miles an hour.
Well, no contact at all from what I saw. Some pretty close action, but all on their very best behaviour. There's some contact.
Vitaly Petrov's lost his front wing. I saw there was a couple of cars behind Nico Rosberg that had to go through the escape road at the first couple of corners. That might be where Petrov came to grief. We'll get a little replay in a moment. But it's pretty much single file. He thinks he's hit his teammate there. Collision between the two Caterham drivers, not what they would have wanted, but for Hamilton it's a 1.2 second advantage as he completes the first lap ahead of Vettel, and Jenson Button in third, past Maldonado who's lost 2 places in fourth. Alonso staying where he is in fifth after getting back past Di Resta who's sixth, then Webber and Grosjean, Rosberg and Schumacher after him, Raikkonen who's moved up a spot, Hulkenberg and Perez, Ricciardo and Vergne.